Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And today, I would like to introduce you to a very powerful platform, a tool that we are using in many implementations with retailers around the world to, first of all, show them that it's possible to get much, much more from their current operations. Okay, so once you are able to sell much more from your current merchandise, as you scale up, obviously your operations will be more profitable. Now, let me show you why we believe this is the case and why we are getting these results. First of all, it's based on the methodology that my father created called Theory of Constraints. I'm sure a lot of you have read it, read the book, The Goal, that he wrote. Theory of Constraints is all about understanding where is your major constraints, these limited factors that really governs and dictate your ability to get much more from what you have. And once you understand these constraints that governs the flow of your operations, if you know how to manage these constraints in a better way, you can get much, much more throughput. Okay? And that's what we are applying in the retail operation. So let me show you why this is the case. First, let's keep things simple, very simple. If I would like to simplify the retail operation, I will focus on three key KPIs. Traffic, how many customers are exposed to your offerings, conversion, from the ones who are exposed, how many buy, and of course margin, from the ones who buy, how many buy at a price that give you the profit you need to cover your operating expense and make profits, right? If you notice, I'm not talking so much about efficiency and cost. Of course, these are important, but first, in Theory of Constraints, we always believe that you should first focus on the value, why you have your company in order to give value to customers. So first, make sure you are really good at delivering this value, and then think how you can do it in the most efficient way possible. Now, there is one enabler that impacts all these three KPIs, traffic, conversion, and margin. Okay, there are many, many things that you need to do, but there is one that impacts all the three, and this is to have the ability to have the right product at the right place at the right time. Do you agree? Right? If we are good at that, we can attract more customers, obviously convert them to sales, and obviously sell at the margin we want and not at the end of life price that we need to dramatically discount. Now, there is a big mystery around our ability to have the right product at the right place at the right time. Because obviously in order to do that, we need to use forecasts. We have to plan. But what is the mystery? The mystery is that we should expect over the years that our ability to have more accurate forecasts will improve. We have more data to learn from. We have better algorithms with machine learnings. We have faster machines that can process all these big data lake. So one would assume that our ability to get accurate forecasts will improve. Now, I'm not talking about forecast of trends and aggregates. I'm talking about forecast of product sales at a specific place at a specific time, because that's the forecast we need in order to make managerial decisions. Make sense? Now, I speak with, I'm not ashamed to say, hundreds of managers around the world. And I ask them, is your ability to have more accurate forecasts, is it getting better? What do you think is the answer I get? Nobody tells me that it's getting better. Actually, most managers I talk to tell me our ability to have accurate forecasts is deteriorating over the years, contrary to what we would expect. Now, why this is the case? First of all, you don't need to trust me. I just gathered here some titles from newsletters in the last 2 years. For example, if you see Financial Times, clothing piles up in Bangladesh warehouse as West Coast imports. That's Cuts imports. This is just from last November. Why West Coast imports? Because they are stuck with mountains of inventory. So something went wrong with the forecast, right? Listen to these statistics. Around 30% of all clothes made around the world are never sold. So something is wrong. By the way, this is not just a business problem. This is a world problem. Okay, this is Atacama Desert in Chile. That's where fast fashion goes to die. Okay? 92 million tons of textile waste are produced every year. It's like a full truckload every second, dumping the surplus we couldn't sell. Okay, so it's not just a business problem. So why, despite all of our efforts, the forecast accuracy is not improving? I think it's very, very important to understand, because once you understand it, you will realize that the more your operation will depend on the accuracy of the forecast that you have to make, because everybody has to make, of course we need to make forecasts. You cannot run operations without planning. But the more your operations depend on whether or not you got it right, or in other words, the less flexible you are to change as reality unfolds, the less successful you will be. And in my view, if I look into the future, companies where their operations is rigid, where they're making their plans and then it is what it is, they will simply not survive the future. Now, let me explain to you why the forecast accuracy is deteriorating. It's very important. It's happening because of three dynamics. Each one of them deteriorates the accuracy of the forecast. And these dynamics are interactions of consumers' behavior and the reaction of companies, retailers, to this behavior. Okay? Three dynamics, three interactions. Each one of them deteriorates the accuracy of the forecast that we have to make. Let's start with the first one, and let's see if you agree with me. It starts with the following consumer behavior. We call it consumer personalization. Basically, how sensitive consumers are to get a product that fits their individual desires and tastes. Would you agree with me that consumer personalization is increasing, is enhancing over the years, that they are more sensitive to get what they want? Yeah? Now, would you also agree with me that it's not uniform? That, individual desires and needs are changing from one to another? Very good. So, if this is true, if they're more sensitive to get what they want and it's not uniform, and we want to sell to consumers, what do we need to do? What do we have to do? This puts pressure on companies to operate with wider range of products. Agree? Unavoidable. I mean, we can decide not to sell, but if we want to sell, that's what we need to do. Now, let's see some statistics, okay? This is a sport retail with about 100 stores in Spain and Portugal that we work with. From the year 2009 to 2012, you can see the number of SKUs in each one of their stores. It doubled. Okay? Now, you may say, okay, of course, in fashion, retail, sport accessory, obviously the SKUs grow. But in basic products, bread, yogurt, that's not going to happen, right? So let's look at the following statistic. This is statistic of average supermarket in the US, number of SKUs between 92 and 2010. Okay? The blue line represents food and beverage. How many SKUs of food and beverage from 92 to 2010 in an average supermarket in the US? Doubled. And of course, the non-beverage and food, even more. Exponential growth in range of products. And the same will happen in automotive. The orange line represents number of sales of different products that you're selling, and it's cascading, number of different machines that we need to sell or in order to produce these different products. Whenever you see a phenomena in nature that grows exponentially, it's a result of a feedback loop. Because basically it means that the rate of growth is increasing. You have a cause that creates an effect, and then through some cause and effect connections, the effect is enhancing the cause. And now, since the cause is bigger, the effect is bigger, and you have this feedback loop that grows the effect exponentially. We see this exponential growth here. What is the feedback loop? Well, it's actually not so complicated to understand. Let me ask you something. If companies operate with wider range of products, how does this affect consumer personalization? Consumers are aware of a wider range of options in the marketplace. What does it do to their sensitivity to get what they want? It's enhancing it, right? Oh, I never thought I can get it in pink. So when you operate with wider range, the personalization increase. When the personalization increase, this puts pressure on us to operate with even wider range of choices, and the feedback loop is spinning. Make sense? Now, I'm describing all this to you, remember, because I want to show you how this impacts the accuracy of the forecast that we have to make. So, let me ask you a question. The wider the range of products, what happens to the ability to have accurate forecast? Is it improving or reducing? Your experience. Okay, are you alive? I don't know. It's reducing, right? Why? Why, when we operate with wider range of products, the accuracy of the forecast reduces? Have you ever thought about it? Yeah, you can tell me because it's more complicated, we have more variables, but this is just another big words that do not really explain it. So now let me explain to you, once and for all, why when we are increasing the range of products, unavoidable, the accuracy of the forecast will deteriorate. By the way, when I say accuracy of forecast deteriorate, the manifestation in reality is surplus and shortage. Okay, gap between inventory and demand. It's happening because of the following phenomena. If you will, each one of you, if you will look at your universe of SKUs, of products that you sell, you will obviously be able to do a Pareto. You will have the head products. What you see here, by the way, this is from a watch retailer, a very big watch retailer. And these are the SKUs in their universe. So we took 552 active SKUs, and their contribution to, a cumulative contribution to sales, that's the blue line, and to inventory, that's the red line. So what do we see here? We see that about 60 products from their universe responsible to about 50% of sales. You with me? These are the head products. Now we have the belly products in the middle that contributes to sale, but not at the same rate as the head products. And then we have the tail. The tail are all these slow-moving items that as you add them to your portfolio, your inventory for sure goes up, your sales are not really impacted. Make sense? The unavoidable, okay, effect that I want to tell you is the wider the range, the bigger the share of the tail. Again, the wider the range of products that you operate, the bigger your tail is. Okay, not only you have more slow movers, the share of slow movers from your portfolio in percentage will be higher. Now, I don't need to explain to you that to have accurate forecast on slow mover is impossible. You don't know when the customer that would like this unique shirt will come into the store. Okay, for the more repetitive items, I know. Right? When I used to sell only one type of tomatoes, I knew exactly what will be the demand. But now I have red tomatoes and yellow tomatoes and orange and green and with dots and in different packages. Now it's become more complicated. Make sense? Now, if you agree with that, you will understand that we are now facing, as managers, a tough problem. Whenever we have problems, it calls for a higher management attention. Okay, management attention is high when we need to deal with problems. If I will draw management attention to the width of the range of products that we need to manage, I will get a U-curve. When we are not offering enough range, too low range, poor choices in the marketplace, I'm losing a lot of sales market share because consumer personalization is high and lots of problems. Management attention is high. Then I start to increase the range of products, so these problems go down, but there is this critical point that when I'm adding more range, the only thing I'm inflating is tail. Make sense? Obviously, a lot of problems with tail products. It's not only cost, because when our channel is clogged with inventory you cannot sell, it's limit our ability to introduce new products, right? We need to be in the middle. Where is the middle? How many different types of shirts, men button shirts, I need to have at a particular store at a particular time? Where is the middle? It's impossible to forecast. And even if you got it right, it can change. And it can change due to factors that have nothing to do with your operation. A competitor opened a store next door. Weather. Okay, I see some of you are nodding. So how can I be in the middle without knowing where is the middle and when it's changing? There is only one way. And I will tell you in a moment what it is. But before that, I spoke only on the first dynamic that deteriorates the accuracy of the forecast. And you understand it will not go away. Let's see the second dynamic. As I mentioned, each one of them are interactions between consumers' behavior and the reactions of companies to this behavior, right? So what is the second consumer behavior? We call it consumers' tolerance time. Basically, how long consumers are willing to wait to have the products available. Now, let me ask you, what do you think happens to consumer tolerance time over the years? Is it getting shorter or longer? Or the same? Shorter. A little bit shorter or much shorter? Right? They are willing to wait much less, or they are much less willing to wait, depending how you want to phrase it. When the tolerance time equals 0, if you do not have the product that the consumer wants to buy when he wants to buy it, you lost the sale. Don't tell him to come back next week, go to another store, you lost the sale. Now, it's not always 0, but it's reducing. And I think we all remember these headlines during COVID when we had a lot of supply chain issues and shortages. We had these headlines in the business magazines saying, actually, consumers' brand loyalty is 0. If they don't see your products when they want to buy, they switch. Make sense? I'm making it dramatic. I need to wake you up. It's too late in the day. But you understand my point, right? So, if consumer tolerance time is reducing, how do we need to react? We need to have the product available when they want to buy. How do we do that? What do we have to do? We are now under pressure to hold more stock, and not just to hold more stock, to spread it, to hold it closer to consumers. Make sense? The pressure to have more stores, more point of sales, more warehouses, spread. Now, remember, whenever we see a phenomena that grows exponentially, there is a feedback loop. So why the tolerance time is reducing so much? Because when we are holding more stock and when we are spreading it, what happens to consumer tolerance time? They are getting spoiled. They are getting used to the fact that products are available. And now it puts even more pressure on us to continue doing it. Because we're not alone, we have competitors. And if we will stop doing it, we lose. Everybody? Now, obviously, when we need to hold up front more stock, and when we need to spread it, when we cannot aggregate all the variabilities in one place, the accuracy of the forecast goes down. Make sense? And now we face, again, a problem. Remember, management attention is high when we have problems. When I will draw management attention to stock, this was to range. Now, from each man button shirt that I'm holding, how many units? I will again get a U-curve. Too little, shortages, lost sales. Too much, surpluses. Not just cost, also clogging my ability to introduce merchandise. I need to be in the middle. Where is the middle? And remember, we do not have this problem in isolation. We have this problem across a wider range of products. Well, tough life. That's your business to manage, right? So how can we be in the middle without knowing where it is and when it's changing? In order to do that, before we understand the direction of solution, I want to highlight the third dynamic that deteriorates the accuracy of the forecasts. And it's important to understand because if I will look at its effect on accuracy of the forecast, the third dynamic is as strong as these two combined in terms of preventing us from having an accurate forecast. It starts with the following phenomena. We call it product life cycle. How long products are valid in the marketplace before an alternative comes. Okay, collection life, product life cycle, same thing. Is it getting shorter or longer? Shorter. A little bit shorter? More and more industries, you know, are going into becoming like fashion, shorter product life cycle, to the extent that it creates a consumer behavior where consumers expect newness. They come to the store and ask, what's new? Now, this obviously puts pressure on us, because it's reducing, it puts pressure on us to increase the rate of new product introductions, to increase the freshness rate, if you want, in our merchandise. But again, there is a feedback loop, because as we introduce faster and more frequent new products, what effect it has on the product life cycle? It reduces it. And again, we have a feedback loop. The feedback loops are important to understand, so you understand why it will not go away. This phenomena is here to stay. And again, we have a problem, because when I'm introducing new products, first of all, I have zero history of consumption to learn from, and most new products are not the next iPhone or the next Harry Potter book. And if the product sells well, it will disrupt the rate of consumption of all the other relevant products that I already came to learn. Make sense? So if I will introduce too often new products, I will have a lot of problems. Surplus, which I need to mark down, like any fashion company knows, okay? Or shortages. If I decide that's it, I'm not going to have this product, I will order less. And whatever I sell, it's sold out, that will be my strategy. But still, you're losing sales. Make sense? You need to be in the middle. Where is the middle? How often should I introduce new products? How many? For each category, in each store. Can we forecast this? A problem. Now, these three dynamics, the reason I wanted to show you these is for you to understand why. Why, despite your best efforts and despite the best IT tools you need to employ, the accuracy of the forecast is not going to dramatically improve. On the contrary. And it's happened even before COVID. COVID showed it very, to everyone, but now we think it's because of this black swan that came. No, no, no. It's because of the actions we have to take if we want to provide value in the marketplace and meet consumers' expectations. So how can we be in the middle? Now, the TLC approach to be in the middle without knowing where is the middle is saying the following thing. You actually cannot predict it. Do the best you can, but you cannot predict it. You need to build an operation that will enable you to be in the middle by reading very quickly whether you're starting to climb one of the extremes and reacting very quickly so you're able to go back to the middle without climbing to the other extreme. Are you with me? Okay, building such an operation means that you're able to reduce your dependency on the accuracy of the forecast that you have to make. Because yes, you do the best planning, but then all your operation actually assumes forecast the best you did is wrong. My father used to say, forecast is wrong the moment you write it. So now it's all about our ability to react very quickly to the signals we read to determine our success. Now, all of this was very nice in theory, but are there tools that can help us do it? Are there methodologies that can help us do it? In order to understand better, I would like to invite Roy. Okay, Roy is one of our senior executives in Onebeat, which is the platform that we use in order to do exactly what I told you. Please welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rami. Good evening. What I would like to do in the next, say, 20 minutes is focus the discussion more on one industry that is characterized by the extremes of these three dynamics. Okay, if you take the fashion industry, then the fashion industry is characterized by proliferations of assortment of options with very short life cycle. Okay, in fact, the more fashion is trendy, we're talking about fast fashion, then the life cycle even reduces with time. And it's more of an impulse buying that requires immediate availability. So where all these dynamics converge together into the extreme is where we need to use technology in some certain way in order to really do what Rami showed you, taking the signals from reality and reduces as much as possible the lead time to respond to these signals so that we can react on time and achieve our goal. Now, before we deep dive into what kind of AI we need, let's understand a little bit the challenge of the fashion industry specifically. So the fashion industry, for those of you that know, it's an industry that basically strives to increase sell-through, and mostly full-price sell-through. Okay? It's an industry that starts, basically the cycle of fashion starts sometimes 9 months before the season, sometimes even more, 12 months before the season, with many actions that are taking in sequence in order to plan the season right. And eventually, when the money time starts, the season ends very, very fast. Okay? It's a matter of 3 months maximum that the full price period ends, and then we need to liquidate the remaining inventory that we are left with. So basically, our global benchmark shows that there is about 25% unsold inventory in this industry. I think Rami showed you in the beginning few evidence from global benchmarks that show you evidence about these figures. In order to understand it, to understand why it's the issue, we will take one cycle of a season and we will try to demonstrate step by step how do we get there. Because we start with a lot of good intentions, but eventually we are left with a lot of unsold inventory. So let's assume that we start the season in one store. Okay, what you see here is the season start in one store, and for the sake of simplicity, we simplified it into something that is very, very generic and high level so that we can all be on the same common ground. Let's assume that in the beginning of the season in one store, about 33% of the inventory, 1/3 of the inventory is what we call slow movers. We already know, okay, the season just started, maybe 2 weeks ago, a new collection that just started, and we already know that this collection is a slow mover. Some part of the products are not selling. Maybe some part of the products are carried forward from the previous seasons because they didn't sell. So this is the area that we marked in the red zone, that those products that are slow movers. Another part of the merchandise, let's say 1/3, are what we call fast movers. These products are selling very, very well. It's a new collection that maybe arrived 2 weeks ago, and we already learned that these products are selling very well, like hot buns, or some products that are carried forward from the previous season because they were very successful. Maybe the core and basics product that we can offer. And the remaining, the gray area, are those new products that we simply don't have yet any statistics about them. Okay, those products are just arrived. Maybe a new drop of merchandise that just arrived yesterday, and new drops like this are coming all the time. So again, for the sake of simplicity, we divided these 1/3 each, but different retailers, different brands with different level of fashion will have different proportions in the beginning of the season. So what happens now? As we go along the seasons day by day, what we can expect is that, first of all, slow movers are slow in nature. Some of these products will pick up as the season will move, but most of them, by nature, would be slow movers in the store, and they will not sell. The fast movers, on the contrary, we call them fast movers because they sell faster than what we expected. So these products will likely run out of stock. We will replenish the balance that we have in the warehouse, but this will also run out of stock quite fast. So we expect their share to reduce with time. Now, the new products will eventually get classified either into fast movers or slow movers, right? Okay? But according to the Pareto rule that we know, when we are dealing with big assortment, what we know is that vast majority of the products will eventually turn out to be slow movers, and very few winners will qualify to what we call fast movers. So what we can expect to see as we go towards the mid-season is that bigger share of the shelf space of the store is now occupied with what we call slow movers. The fast mover share reduces, and accordingly, we have less space for new products. Okay? We are already violating some of our basic rules of fashion. Okay? We want to be fashionable, we want to refresh our merchandise very fast, we want the customers to see new all the time, but now the shelf has less space to show newness, and bigger part of the shelf is occupied with slow movers. And naturally, as this tendency proceeds towards the end of season, if we take a snapshot just before the end of season, usually what we see is that the store is already occupied with slow movers to the extent that vast majority of the shelf is slow-moving stock, simply stock that did not sell. Fast movers would be only those leftovers. I'm sure you experienced that you go just before the end of season sales start is where you rarely find what you want, right? And very, very, very little space is still available for new products. In fact, many brands that we work with, in some cases, postponed the last drop of merchandise of the season to the next season simply because there's no point in trying to push it to the store if you cannot display it well and give it right exposure. Now, this is what we call the negative circle of the fashion industry, because now there is the opportunity to sell at discount, to liquidate this inventory. We go into what we call an EOSS, end of season sale, and then we can start afresh with a new season with the same cycle. The same cycle will repeat, season after season after season. Okay, now, when we have a negative circle like this, in order to break this negative circle, we need to break some significant assumption. Without breaking some significant assumption, we will not be able to break out of this loop. Okay? So in order to break this significant assumption, what we need to do is we need to do a high-resolution analysis. Okay? And what we would like to challenge is the following. We would like to look at those slow movers, notoriously known to be slow-moving products, and maybe challenge their existence that they are not bad products. In fact, we put so much effort in designing the season, it cannot be that we went so wrong that, say, 75% of the store inventory is bad products. It doesn't make sense, right? Something is fundamentally wrong in this assumption. So when we do a deep dive into this red area of slow movers, what we see is the following. We see that some part of the slow movers, the one that you see on the right, is what we call global tail. This is the bad products. Okay? This is planning error. It's either products that are out of fashion and we planned them, it was a wrong design, or products that maybe we priced wrong and they can simply not sell at full price. They need to be sold on discount. So this is, in a way, the planning mistake. But this is a small part of the slow-moving inventory at the store at the end of the season. If you look at the other part of the red zone, it's what we call the local tail. These are right products in the wrong place. Now, why do I claim that these are right products? It's good products in the wrong place. Not because I understand fashion better than my clients, simply because I'm looking at data. It's an evidence, it's a fact. Okay? Because while these products are here in this store, in the red zone, marked as slow movers, at the same time, they are in another store, are marked in the green as fast mover. Let's understand what happened here. This store could not fulfill its full fashion potential because it got stuck with slow movers occupying the shelf space. And maybe the open to buy of the store, okay? Another store lost sales opportunities for most of the season because this product was not available for replenishment to sell more in multiple quantities, okay? It's a kind of lose-lose that we got into. So what we are claiming here is that if we could, with technology, identify well in advance, okay, going back to the very beginning of the season, which products by nature are those that are prone to become the red products, the slow movers, and which products by nature are those that are prone more to become the green, the fast movers of the store, we could adjust our decision, just like Rami mentioned, all right? We could get faster decisions and impact the inventory in such a way that the deployment of inventory would be more in line with the demand pattern of each store. And by doing that right, the potential is very, very high. Because look at the size of the red zone in the store before the end of the season. That is what we call local tail. It's most of the slow-moving part of inventory in the store. Okay? What we see as our benchmark is that it gives us the opportunity to increase the sell-through at full price by up to 20% just by doing better execution in the store without impacting the plan, with the same plan. Okay? So let's now try to understand if the bad products are not the villain here, okay, if they are not bad, then where are we going wrong? Okay, what is the root cause for this? Why are we going wrong in this? So basically, the way we look at it is that the problem is simply because we are using inadequate tools for execution. Okay, what we are doing is we are taking the same tools that are very good, that are used for planning, that we use to plan inventory, for inventory planning, that works very well on aggregation, and we deploy these tools on areas that are very, very noisy. What works for inventory planning to buy inventory for the season does not work for deciding what needs to be the norm of each SKU or each product in each store. Okay? It's a different kind of a decision. Let's understand why. So we'll take it step by step and try to understand. So first thing is, if we go to product location level, the prediction cannot rely on our intuition. I think this is something that we try to prove to you already in the session that Rami gave you. Okay? There are too many dynamics that we will be able to know and predict what would be the demand of a specific SKU without looking at hard data. Okay? Now, because of that, we must rely on hard data. And we don't have this hard data before the season starts, right? So we must collect the signals from reality only when the season starts. At the same time, if you look at the traditional prediction mechanisms, algorithms that are used, and I'm sure that they are used by most of you in one way or another, like min-max, like rolling forecast from all sorts of kind of rolling forecast, all of these mechanisms requires that the data would be regular. Okay? They cannot rely on sporadic data. So it really requires multiple and consistent data points to demonstrate basic accuracy. Add to that another characteristic of the fashion industry. In the fashion industry, the sale rate of product is not that high. This is not grocery store. Okay. Average price, if you take benchmark average of across different kind of fashions, different kind of fashion environments, is that the average sale rate of a product is to sell between 1 to 2 pieces in a week. On average, that means that there are some best sellers that sell 10 pieces in a week. There are some that don't sell any. And the average is between 1 to 2 pieces in a week. Now, if you have sale rate of 1 to 2 pieces in a week, and you need to create an accurate forecast, it becomes mission impossible unless you really wait for something like 4 to 6 weeks. Okay? This is taken from statistics, more or less. If you play with the numbers, you will see that you will not be able to get anything accurate unless you really accumulate enough data. What is the problem with waiting 4 to 6 weeks? Okay, we lost the momentum. That's it. The collection life is ended already, right? Fast fashion collections sometimes go as high as 4 weeks. Okay? Longer collections will live 8 weeks, at max 12 weeks. By the time we waited 4 to 6 weeks for accurate prediction, we already lost the opportunity to predict. And if we do try to predict, what we would do is most likely react to noise. And I'll show you an example. And according to that logic, okay, by the time we are starting with a more accurate prediction, things already went wrong. Most inventory is already misplaced in the wrong stores, and this is why you saw that vast majority of the inventory in the store became slow moving. Okay, that's basically explaining the root cause, taking you through the entire path to understand why it happens. Now, I'll just take you through one example. I'll do it very quick, but just to illustrate, those of you that dealt with merchandise sometime in your career would know this very well. Let's assume that this is a season that started in July, okay? And, I have laser. A season that started in July, and it started with one piece, okay, for this product. Why one piece? Simply because average sale is 1 to 2 pieces in a week, and we don't know which will be 1, which will be 2, which will be 0, so we go safe, we start with 1. And then first 2 weeks, there are no sales. So it looks like, okay, it was a justified decision to start with 1. And then there is a sale of 1 piece. So based on this, if you do a calculation, a rolling forecast, you will learn that the sale rate is 1 piece in 2 weeks. It doesn't tell you much, okay? 2 weeks later, there is another sale. So now you get a stronger confidence that yes, the sale rate might be 1 piece in 2 weeks. And then suddenly the week after, you sell 2 pieces one after the other. And then everything goes for a toss. Because now it looks like the sale rate is 4 times what you expected. And now we are starting to respond to noise. And as a result of this, when we react to the noise, this is where we are starting to accumulate inventory, which is completely unnecessary, blocking this inventory for other stores that really need this product in order to sell. These stores will be in shortage, the others will carry surplus. That's like a small illustration to explain this. So, assuming that we understand the problem, let's talk a little bit about solutions. So, what is it that we bring to the table with technology? Okay, so there is a lot of buzz around AI, okay? But the importance here is really to understand where to use AI in the right way to serve our purpose. And there are 3 areas that we identified, okay, that we apply our AI. So the first area is that we move out from forecast. Forecast doesn't work on SKU location level, definitely not in a fashion kind of environment. So we moved from that into an algorithm that is called short-term prediction. The idea of short-term prediction is instead of trying to collect, accumulate signals to create a prediction, we learn from the behavior of the signals what is the demand pattern of this SKU. So what we are doing, the algorithm, the AI here, is doing clustering of products into demand pattern. And this is something that we can do in the first and second week itself. We can cut short the 4 to 6 weeks prediction time to the first 1 or 2 weeks and already respond very, very quickly. If we identify fast movers, we can react very quickly to the demand pattern of these fast movers, and likely we will succeed. And if we identify signals for slow movers, we can already reduce the expectation of these products. And this is something that can respond, that can increase our reaction time very, very fast. But it's not enough, because in fashion, all of the products, most of the products are new products, okay? And since we are trying to challenge fashion, sometimes they are new combinations of products, new combinations of attributes, etc. So what we do here in order to increase our ability to predict is we break the products into attributes, and we use the attributes of the products to identify similar groups of products that behave similarly. And by that, we improve the statistics. Because now, instead of looking at one SKU location and collect maybe 2 or 3 signals to create a prediction, we can correlate few products together that behave similarly because they share similar attributes that impact their demand, and now we can take a bigger group of products together and improve the accuracy, based on our assumption, improve the accuracy of the model, and this helps us considerably improve the accuracy in the first few cycles, maybe in the first few weeks of the prediction. Once we have enough signals, then the short-term prediction takes over and improve and control the prediction of the model. And the third thing, which is a big noise factor, is managing seasonality, special events, promotions, all these elements, all this manual intervention is what we see as a big engine for noise generation many times. Okay? Because usually, okay, when you have promotions, special events, usually there is a human intervention in the model, okay? And as people, when we do human intervention, we usually prefer to error on the safe side, okay? And by erroring on the safe side, many times we amplify inventory unnecessarily in the wrong places and contribute to the mismatch of inventory. So what we want to do here we're using machine learning capabilities. And the idea of using machine learning capabilities is try to learn from past behaviors of those promotions, special events, and seasonalities to see where is the impact really, and how big is the impact. Sometimes the impact is so marginal that it doesn't even make sense to change anything. Sometimes the impact is very, very big, but in specific categories or specific attributes only. So here, if we add this to the model, we can improve the prediction model and make seamless, I would say, seamless transition between the short-term prediction and prediction of these special events. So these three together are the three, I would say, AI engines that we use in order to manage the entire season, the execution of the season better in a way that will help us achieve better inventory mix for all the stores during the season. What we see is we claim, and we have some nice success stories as examples, that it can help us increase the sell-through at full price up to a level of 20%. So I want to end this session just by giving you a glimpse and explain something which is an insight. It was an insight to us also with time. These are three different success stories that we have in our database. We have dozens. Some of them are in the website, and you can browse through, and we can also share with you. But these are three different environments that are fashionable in three different geographies. Okay? And the environments by nature are different. The one environment is lingerie. It's in Latin America, in Mexico. It's the biggest lingerie store, the most famous locally in Mexico. The second one is a sport retail in Spain and Portugal, the most popular sports retail. Sport retail is very different than lingerie and have very different challenges than lingerie. And the third one is leather product, premium leather product, the biggest fashion brand for leather apparel and shoes and footwear products in Colombia. Okay, the most known brand over there. Again, different, if you know the fashion, the leather industry, it has different challenges, completely different challenges than lingerie and sports wear. Now, while these are different environments, all the environments share the same problem, core problem. Okay, they all are stuck in the same negative circle that they manage season and they add their seasons with unsold inventory. They do a lot of focus on planning. very little to do during the execution because the season time is short. So as a result, if you look at the baseline, at the KPIs that we achieve, all the KPIs across all these examples are sharing very, very similar baselines, okay? In all of them, you would see that the impact on full price sales is about 10 to 20%. The impact, of course, is driven by improvement in availability of the right products in the season. So much reduction, big reduction in surplus of slow movers, reduction in the age of inventory in the store, so the store can be more fashionable and more fresh. And as a result, there is also reduction in the capital that we need in order to manage a store. So the stores are slightly leaner. So that's basically just the closure to that part. And that was also my last slide. I would appreciate if you want to continue the discussion with us on more personal level, then you can join us in the speaker lounge, right? We will be there. We would love to meet you. Thank you very much.